Hello, my name is Michael O'Keefe, aka The Movie Wizard. If you enjoy this interview and want to hear more top-notch film industry conversations, please press the thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell to stay in the know. Hello, Ted Schaefer. How would you describe your movie, Giving Birth to a Butterfly, to my audience?
Sure. The film follows Diana Dent, who goes on a road trip after her identity is stolen with her son's pregnant girlfriend. But in an attempt to find the perpetrator, she ends up on a very surreal journey of sort of self-discovery.
Okay, and what happens along the way?
Well, it's a bit of a mismatched pair between her and the son's pregnant girlfriend, who she is not at first incredibly fond of. And they bond over their kind of the ways in which they feel stuck in their lives. And when they arrive to try and find the perpetrators, they end up in a very kind of strange world, not one in which they expected to find themselves.
So it's sort of like Thelma and Louise. It's some sort of a road movie meets Eraserhead.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. Thelma and Louise meets Eraserhead. I think that's right.
Good stuff. All right. So, do you feel accomplished and relieved that you have finished your debut film?
Incredibly, yeah. And I've been working as an assistant director for a long time in the industry. So it like especially feels like, man, it's just been a lot of years, a lot of hard work, and it meant bringing together a lot of friends that I've been working with for so long and making something together, which was really just an incredible experience.
I am sure it's very gratifying, and congratulations. Is there an extra sense of victory of getting the film in Fantasia?
Oh, incredibly, yeah. The festival is the perfect place for this film because it does play with genre, but it's also it's weird. It's a weird film, and this festival has had such a great record of showcasing really unique and interesting films, and I hope that ours kind of fits in with that. And they've just been doing such a great job for so long, and this year is absolutely no different. The lineup is incredible. We're super excited to be a part of it.
That's great. It is a pretty wonderful festival, and your movie definitely fits in perfectly with the festival. The whole philosophy of it. So,
Yeah.
Tell me about you. You were an assistant director. You said. Tell me about what it's like. So you're in New York State. Where in New York are you?
In the city, I'm in Brooklyn.
Oh, you're in Brooklyn. Okay, so you're making stuff in New York City, typically,
Yeah.
like as an assistant director before this.
Yeah. And traveling on occasion, but generally based around New York.
Oh, okay. And what were some of the projects you were working on like there?
It was mostly in the indie film world. So one of the last things I did was this great narrative doc hybrid called Framing John DeLorean that Alec Baldwin was in, that I believe is on Hulu now. How He Fell in Love was another great small indie film that did now 5 years ago, I think. And you just sort of build a community. My producer is somebody that I think I've AD'd 5 features with before he came on and did Butterfly.
Mm.
So a lot of a movie like this, it's a lot of friends and family.
Yeah, so it was organically grown. You're not like just kind of like coming out of nowhere. It was all this was moving towards this for a while, I guess.
That's my hope. Yeah, I mean, certainly everyone who was a part of this movie basically was somebody that I've worked with and known for a long time.
Hmm. And how long have you been doing stuff in the film industry?
Gosh, I guess I started probably 2010 would have been the first film that I worked on. So just over 10 years now.
Awesome. Okay. So tell me what you shot Giving Birth to a Butterfly on. What was it? It was 16 millimeter something.
Yeah.
But tell me about that. And how would you describe the look of the movie?
Yeah, we shot it on 16, and a lot of that has to do with the style of the film because there is this sort of in and out of reality, and to me that kind of texture that you get with 16 just made perfect sense to create this sort of sense of the surreal. Yeah, I mean it's very kind of pastel toned, and I like a lot of more classical stuff. So there's no handheld in the film. Everything's pretty static or dolly moving camera. It's very kind of specific, not a lot of coverage. So more in that like European style, I guess is how people would describe it.
Okay. So, who are some European filmmakers, or perhaps just American surrealists as well, that might have been an influence, consciously or subconsciously, on this project?
Mostly subconscious. When
Right.
Patrick and I write and when we work, we try to do it as asleep as possible. But
Mm.
no, I think I love Ingmar Bergman and a lot of the classics. Antonioni and Tarkovsky, but there's certainly a lot in the states that Jim Jarmusch and then Aki Kaurismäki, who's Scandinavian, but
Mhm.
that sort of feel of that, like I do think subconsciously, maybe even more than consciously, that sort of 90s feel probably bleeds through. I've had a few people point that out.
Mm. I definitely got Eraserhead vibes. The girl in the radiator. That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking at certain moments in this project.
Right. Well, what's funny is one of the characters, Nina, the actress, was in Eraserhead. She plays the neighbor in Eraserhead.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So you're not far off. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's a good segue. Tell my audience about your cast.
Yeah. I mean, we got incredibly lucky. Annie Parise is the star. She plays Diana, and Gus Burney plays Marlene, who is the pregnant girlfriend that goes along with her. And sort of a funny, I don't know if it's a coincidence, we sort of did it somewhat on purpose, is that Annie's partner is Paul Sparks, who plays her partner in the film, and it's the first film they've ever done together. And Gus, her mother, is Constance Schulman, who's most well known as the voice of Patty Mayonnaise, and she's also great on Orange is the New Black. She plays her mother in it. So we kind of funnily, it just sort of happened organically that we ended up with these two families playing two families within the film.
Oh, that's kind of funny. And what were some of the projects that they were in before working with you?
So Annie has been, a stalwart in the New York stage area for years, but she was also on the Netflix show. She's one of the stars of Friends with College. She had a very long, several season arc on Law and Order. She's just done a million things. And Paul Sparks was also probably best known for House of Cards, and then he was just in the latest Michael Showalter, Lovebirds. He was also on the Hulu Stephen King show that I can't remember the name of. We actually do have a lot of Orange is the New Black stars, because
Mm.
Connie was on that, and Jessica Pimentel is also in the film, who was in Orange is the New Black, and actually Judith, who plays Nina's, was also in Orange is the New Black. So a whole host of great New York actors, and Owen Campbell plays Drew, who's been in a ton of who was in The Americans and has been in a lot of more independent New York films.
Awesome! Wow, that's impressive. Was it ever intimidating, sort of giving direction to these people?
I think we did, which is sort of rare for an independent film, a week of rehearsals ahead of time, which really helped. But I mean,
Huh.
absolutely. I mean, I we had gotten to know each other because I had met with all of them before one on one, and we had gotten to know each other to make sure it was a good fit. And everyone was just like very much here for it, and never had even the slightest hint of an issue with any of the actors or any of the crew. Like everybody was just here to make the movie we were trying to make, and so quickly that went away. But I mean, definitely coming out of the gate, talking to some of those people that have just I've been watching for years. It's certainly a little intimidating.
I can only imagine so, especially when it's your first project, in the director's chair. But I'm glad he didn't have any egomaniacal sociopaths. That's what it sounds like.
Yes, absolutely not. I mean, I certainly wouldn't say that if we did, but I also wouldn't say that I did. But no, everybody was. We got very, very lucky, and some of that's just because I knew enough of the crew, and I hope we made enough of an atmosphere that felt creative and fun and not super stressful. But the cast was just, and we had two families, so it's sort of like it was like a family movie.
That's awesome. I like that. Okay, so I got you to name drop some filmmakers, which it could be somewhat of a helpful exercise. But more specifically, can you talk about the approach of ambiguity in filmmaking? Because I found that this film had moments of ambiguity. Let's just say. And what are your thoughts on ambiguity? Some people are against it. Just go in on the topic.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, obviously, I'm very for it, especially in art. I think there's a way to do art that is didactic, that's good, but I don't think that's something I am interested in or good at. And I think ambiguity in art is, for me at least, feels more freeing. You know, when you watch something and the filmmaker or the artist, whatever it is trusting you, the audience, to try and kind of be a part of the process of the film and the experience of the film. So it's not being just completely sold to you. To me, it's a more enjoyable experience, though obviously that's not the case for everyone. But the types of films that I'm interested in are ones that are a little more engaging. And I don't know that our film is challenging in any way. There's nothing too difficult to grasp or hard, but it does ask you to go along with it and be okay with moments of ambiguity and trying to kind of piece the entire story together partly yourself.
It's definitely a movie to engage with, right? Like, it's not something to do a crossword puzzle to simultaneously watch.
Yes, that is the hope. I think it'd be very difficult to do a crossword puzzle.
And what do you have a film like where it had a weird ending or a confusing ending or a left field ending that really stands out to you?
It's funny. As soon as you said that, the first thing that popped in my head was Barton Fink. I love that ending. I haven't seen it in years, but that used to be my favorite movie, and that ending is so incredible and pretty obscure.
I forget that ending. Can you just tell me?
Essentially, the whole time he's working, he has this painting of a beach above him, and at the end of the movie, he's carrying a box which may or may not have somebody's head in it. And he walks up onto the beach, and he hears in the distance a woman calling, and he looks, and he's essentially in the painting. The exact woman that was painted on this exact beach is there, and he's just suddenly in this painting.
That's intense. God, I gotta rewatch that. For me, I love the ending of Once Upon a Time in America, when this gangster saga ends up just being an opium trip.
Yeah. It's great. I've been watching a lot of Brian De Palma recently because I hadn't seen a lot of stuff, some of his earlier stuff, and I hadn't seen Body Double. That is a trippy ending as well.
I love that movie.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. But that I love, and that ending where suddenly he's back in the coffin from the beginning, and
right.
Yeah, you're like, whoa, I'm not sure what happened.
I've never seen that lead before, but the entire time, every time I watch it, I just think he looks like Bill Maher.
He does. He looks so much like Bill Maher, and I'm sure he's been in other stuff, but yeah, that's it. That's really his big part, I guess.
That's a great movie. But anyways, so you're going to continue doing weird movies, I'm assuming. You want to continue to make Trip Fest movies if you're allowed to.
That's the goal. Yeah, my writing partner and I, Patrick Lawler, have been working for like 8 years now, so we've got 5 or 6 scripts that are pretty weird that we're pretty excited about. 1 or 2 that we're really trying to kind of get off the ground in the next year. But they're definitely not weird.
And approximately how much do they cost? How long does it take to make a movie like this?
It totally depends. And having worked, all of these movies are under a couple $1 million, but and I think we shot 20 days total on the shoot.
Wow.
And to be honest, this kind of film, I love it. Maybe when I'm 60, I won't want to make movies for this little money, but at the moment, it's exciting. It's an exciting space because it gives you a lot of freedom when you're not tied to huge sums of money, and then people are expecting that return, and people get kind of risk averse, and it's like, well, these are movies that hopefully there will be an audience for, but they have to be what they are, otherwise they're going to be a Frankenstein.
All right, well, Ted, thank you very much for your time. I enjoyed your film, Giving Birth to a Butterfly. What do you ultimately want viewers to take away from the experience
of the film?
Yeah.
I think it's a film that asks questions about identity and the roles that we play in our lives. And I think the best thing for this kind of work is to walk away with you reflecting on what that means for you and your life.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. This is great.